Hello, all you Shogun 2 fanatics. I know you're fanatics because you're watching a replay on YouTube, and that makes you a fanatic. I'm here with a 2v2 battle, which unfortunately has small unit sizes, which doesn't make it look quite as epic, but the tactical maneuverings and army clashes get pretty awesome. Anyways, so I'm here with Huma, who we've been shredding it up on the 2v2 lately, and been doing really well in every battle that I don't send my army off to do exactly what we agreed I wouldn't do and then get it surrounded and killed, leaving Huma to fend for himself. Sometimes he pulls it out, sometimes he doesn't. Sorry when I do that, Huma. Anyways, I'm here with a massive army of Naginatas. I've got the samurai and the war monks out in force. I've got Kensei, my katana hero, holding the line. He's got the rally ability. It's a sick ability to have on a dude. And 2 units of gun monks, 2 units of bow monks. That's pretty balanced for me because I usually just don't really take those guys. In the woods, I've got 2 Great Guard and 2 Yari cavalry veterans. Huma over here. Everyone loves the Naginatas. He's got a very similar army, except he's got more bows than I do, and same amount of cav. Oh no, more cav. And he's got these little matchlock dudes hiding in the woods. You gotta watch out for matchlocks in the woods. Normally, everyone assumes that the woods have somebody hidden in them because any map that has trees in range, you're gonna hide dudes in. But matchlocks in the woods are sort of a different story because if you're trying to scout around with a cavalry unit, you gotta watch out because by the time you're like, oh look, there's dudes in the woods, they're just like, hello, and then they shoot you. And it's not fun. Anyways, our enemies are really hard to tell what they have from a distance in multiplayer, so I'll do the best I can. Normally, they have the red overlay so you could see, but you can't. They've got a lot of bow warrior monks. Oh, that's right. These are the guys who love guns. They've got a bunch of matchlock warrior monks and behind the Naginata monks. And basically all they had was Naginatas, guns, and bows. And this guy apparently brought their cavalry because he has most of the cavalry. Great Guards and Yaris. Anyways, this is Ikenoura something village. It's a pretty awesome map because it's got a lot of choke points, waypoints, and a lot of space to maneuver around and have little fights break up all over the place. Anyways, let's get started. So Huma and I initially decided, which is a pretty common plan for us on this map, is I will deploy up here, Huma will move in and deploy around here. We'll try and capture the armor dojo, the workshop, whatever, which is definitely the most powerful building on this map in particular. He decided to send. We're not going to try and bait their guys out because we're not. This is the Ultra Funds match. Nobody's going to flank all around there. Plus, with so many guns on our side, I think we had like 4 or 5 units. It's really nice to have this archery dojo because the one thing any gun unit needs is reload speed. Accuracy is nice because sniping people is super awesome, but if you can't get a volley off before those cavalry bearing down on you hit you, then you're screwed anyway. So you might as well go. I sent my cavalry up to take this hill in case he decided to go around. It's nice to make sure that if they were going to flank me, they would have to go through me or way the fuck around, which is going to be kind of useless. And I set my guns up right here so they'd have like an unobstructed... Oh yeah, that's cool. So you can see what I'm sending everybody. I got the cavalry on the hill. I'm sending up and eventually moving down. I've got my Naginatas moving... No, my war monks moving up there. My Naginatas here because they reacted sort of as we intended. If I go here and he goes here, if they both fall in and like sort of end up in this little cluster hole right there, then Huma over here is going to have a line like this. I'm going to have a line like this. We can put pressure on them from both sides here, and they sort of have to divert their interests as best we can to 2 sides where we basically just have to go forward. Now the one downside to this, which is why I set my war monks here, was the fact that they have so much cavalry on here because you can't leave them from behind. On small unit sizes, I've noticed that charges are really effective if you spread your cavalry in a thin line. Don't know why. It should be a wedge maybe, but whatever. So I decided to go ahead, and I've got high-level veterans, so high that he might have as high level, but there's no way he's going to outclass me, so I decided to just go for it. So my Great Guard around the side while I tied them up with my thing. And it turns out they were much lower level than me because they got killed really, really quickly. And then the Great Guard comes into the trees and deals with them. So now I've got that under control, so I can send my bow monks and my guns right here. And Huma's getting shot a little bit. I think they had a bow here or some bow monks of their own. While... his cavalry is moving up, trying to drive off the enemy cavalry, which is sort of loitering around. They're having a little skirmish over here. Man, these battles are big. That's why another reason why I like them is because it gives a more like awesome sense. Look, I mean, look at the battle map. It's you got a lot of maneuvering going on here, and our sort of trap worked exactly as we intended. I mean, it's not much of a trap because it's pretty easy to avoid, but That's just how we decided to play this battle. I now can swing my Naginata monks around and complete sort of like the pin in here, while I use my bow monks to shoot all their matchlocks, because they have a ton of matchlocks, and they're bow monks of their own, and I'm shooting their light cavalry because he's not paying attention to what's going on. That's part of the problem with this. And now he has to deploy matchlocks and dudes on the side to make sure that we don't flank him. In the process, I'm still moving my cavalry around. I send my matchlock monks up to get in range and activate, their extended range ability, which is a little bit weird, but is really nice for scaring the crap out of them, even if it doesn't do too much damage. You really need to be closer to do a lot of damage at range. Anyways, we're really maneuvering. We've got them sort of bottled up here to concede the awesome, basically advantage in terms of like locking them into this one area, because they really can't go anywhere anymore because we've got cavalry all over the place. Big cavalry advantage. We had to give up the armory workshop thing, which is I think is a fair trade, because and oh my god, my monks are getting shelled. You give up the armor buff to everybody else, which is not something you necessarily want to do, but if you can trap them and break their morale, it's not going to matter in the end anyway. So, having wasted my gun monks, which is something I do often because I suck with guns, I'm working on that. Set my bow monks up to get a little cover from their guns and to start lobbing arrows over at them, because the one thing you don't want to see when you have a big infantry heavy army like mine is a bunch of guns killing you guys and giving morale shocks before you even get to the end. I decided to sort of screw with their micromanagement by just like sending cavalry guys just to sort of like unsettle them, moving around a lot, and oh man, oh yeah, it's just a stray bullet. And just sort of like making them think, oh my god, he's going for the general. They like keep rearranging their dudes, and hopefully that gives Huma time to shoot them and me time to shoot them without them reacting very well. And who knows, because eventually sometimes like you're like, oh my god, look, there's gun monks right there. I mean, I'm not going to engage Naginata monks, but sometimes you get lucky and sometimes you're retarded and your guys get charged by Naginata monks. But sometimes you're lucky and a little hole will open up and you can, oh that's right, I was maneuvering my army. That was a waste of a Yari cavalry. Sometimes you're lucky and a little hole will open up and you're like, boom, there's the general, boom, range units, slamming them. I decided to split off two Naginata monks to sort of go around the side. I knew they had guns and stuff, but I wanted to make sure that my cavalry could have a clear avenue of entry. I get Kensei to move up so he can support the line eventually. I sort of forgot about him. And the Naginata monks to charge where their archers are and go in loose formation. And as you can see, they were a little bit slow to react to get a line of battle up, so I got all my dudes in place and Huma got all his in place before they could like get resistance in. And so the best thing to see is them trying to pull back archers and stuff while you're moving dudes in, and they're reforming to target my Naginata monks, which I didn't notice in time, which was too bad. But as you can see here is I got my dudes and his dudes have formed our little cone, and he's sort of hadn't committed any units yet, and so he's just like activating his war cry, trying to get everyone to rally, I guess. While Huma and I are sort of free to move our cavalry around, because now they have to make sure that the battle line's not going to collapse, so they have to send enough troops, and as you can see right here, they didn't, and they're getting totally surrounded. Even though it looks like we're wavering, we're doing really well. And even though they're shooting my Naginata monks and sending dudes down there, they've got gunmen all over the place trying to, get good shots off on my cavalry when my cavalry are coming in, Huma's cavalry are coming in, and as you can see, their whole plan is sort of falling apart, because their whole plan and their initial was just like, have a little fortified area, grab this thing, hunker down, and, win the skirmish and do the attack. Huma brings in his guns from behind, and gets ready to basically put a real clamp on them, because if you can get off a few gun volleys, and look, I mean, you got Naginata monks in the middle of their battle line that just haven't been doing anything this whole time because they've been too distracted. You can see their general moving in, but now since my cavalry have got his mark, there's nowhere for him to go. I decided to go in and hit the bow monks because they're giving me a lot of trouble, but his general over here has been trapped by both of our guys and is starting to get shot, and the only thing that really had them hold out for as long as they did was the fact that all their dudes, all their melee dudes, were Naginata monks, and with such high morale, they're not going to break, even when they're totally surrounded. I told you we were doing pretty well over here. I mean, they're completely surrounded except for these two guys who came in as reserves. Those were the two guys who are standing right there, and are getting still shot by our archers because we have the advantage here. I mentioned before, I love being on the attack. This is part of the reason why, is because you can, when on ultra funds like this, if you are good enough, and nobody's good enough to micromanage every unit, or maybe somebody crazy, I don't know, StarCraft player is, but usually Most people can't micromanage every unit, that includes you, but you don't need to effectively micromanage. Like my cavalry got killed over there, but it doesn't matter as long as the big scale things, like the infantry charge, the cavalry coming in over here, the archers shooting their general and stuff, as long as those are timed correctly, it doesn't matter if you can't get the big things right. So, anyways, I thought this was an awesome battle because Huma and I had our, like, you know, big long lines set up. We had the skirmish going on, and right as we started charging, you sync it with him trying to deal with the threats from the perimeter that aren't the big threats. The big threats is the massive line of Naginatas charging at you. By the time they realize it, they try and pull back their dudes, but they get an ineffective battle line formed all over here. They have guys left in reserve that they should have sent in immediately just to sort of plug the holes. They have nothing to block because we've dealt with their cavalry already. The guns coming in from behind, the cavalry swooping out, and the 3 unit of bow monks that are shooting the entire time at the Naginata monks. And I mean, considering how low, the only weakness of a Naginata monk is the low armor, I mean, that was just devastating, and the high cost, I guess. So, anyways, that was a pretty epic 2v2 showdown with Huma and I, and yeah, I really like that fight.